Hello and welcome, this is Noah with Nomad Gaming, and thank you for joining us for another video about the Marvel Champions LCG. Marvel Champions is a living card game produced and distributed by Fantasy Flight Games, and if you are looking for a place to stay up to date with your news, strategy, deck building, and gameplay videos, please hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, join our community, and stay up to date with the channel. Today we are bringing you an update to one of my favorite decks, and hopefully we're going to be providing some strategy and content that's going to help you prepare for the upcoming campaign expansion box. Today we're working with Black Panther, or BP, and we are going green with protection. Let's jump into it and take a look at what we have in terms of our hero and signature cards before talking about our aspect-specific decisions. Of course, we're going to play with our identity card, which is T'Challa in alter ego form, and Black Panther as our hero. T'Challa has a setup ability, which lets us get a Black Panther upgrade and add it to our hand before we've even started the game, but after mulligans. And then Black Panther has the stat line 2 thwart, 2 attack, and 2 defense, and he has the ability Retaliate 1. So after he is attacked, he will deal 1 damage to the attacking character. We're going to talk about that because that, my friends, is going to be central to our strategy in today's deck. Let's take a peek at the signature cards that we have. Of course, we have Shuri, our signature ally. She's going to have the powerful ability in this deck to be able to search out an upgrade and add it to our hand and then shuffle our deck. Very excited to take advantage of that. We do have on the bottom row there the 4 Black Panther upgrades, Energy Daggers, Panther Claws, Tactical Genius, and Vibranium Suit, each with a different ability that triggers off of one of the 5 Wakanda Forevers in our signature pool. We do get extra resources in Vibranium. We have the Golden City to draw some cards in alter ego form, and of course we have Ancestral Knowledge, which is an alter ego action to shuffle 3 cards back into our deck. Let's take a quick look at what's going to be core to our strategy, though. We are going to be using that Retaliate ability off of our hero, and we want to take advantage of 2 specific Black Panther upgrades, and that is first the Vibranium Suit. Vibranium Suit, when you trigger your Wakanda Forever, it triggers a special ability, which is an attack, but it says move 1 damage from your hero to an enemy, and then 2 damage instead if this is the final step of the sequence. So this is going to remove our damage and then heal us up, basically moving it over to an enemy that we choose. If the enemy has tough, we don't get to place the damage, but we still get to heal the damage, which is good, I believe. And so this is going to keep us alive. This is a key component here. A lot of situations, depending on your starting hand, this is going to be the component you search out with that Foresight ability. And then because threat is such a big deal in this game, we are going to be focusing on getting our Tactical Genius, hopefully as our second upgrade out, so that we are pumping these 2 over and over again with our Wakanda Forever. So a Tactical Genius has the special thwart ability, which when you play Wakanda Forever, then you get to trigger it. You can remove 1 threat from a scheme, or 2 instead, if this is the final step of the sequence. Of course, which one you do last is going to depend on the situation. Sometimes you're going to want to get that extra damage healed, or extra damage on a minion, or get a heal, or maybe you're going to need to get that threat off of a side scheme. So you're going to make those decisions strategically as we go through. We can't just prescribe what to do. But let's take a look at how the protection cards that have been added to the pool are going to supplement this strategy and help us to stay in hero form, dealing out damage with the Retaliate and moving damage with our Vibranium Suit. First, we've got allies we want to talk about real quick. We're going to use Brother Voodoo. He is new from the Doctor Strange expansion, and so is Iron Fist. Both of these cards add huge playability to the protection pool. And first off, Brother Voodoo says after he comes into play, we have a response. After Brother Voodoo enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an event card and add it to your hand. Now, a lot of the strategy in Black Panther revolves around a special event, Wakanda Forever. So, being able to drop a Brother Voodoo somewhere in the mid-game and pull out a Wakanda Forever when you need it is fantastic utility. Plus, he's got the ability to thwart for 2, which can help us keep our threat in good management, and then we've got 1 attack. He's got 3 health, and he takes 2 consequential damage on that thwart, so he can only do it once, but it's good. I think he plays really well. Plus, you want him to die so you can try to play him again in the same game if you get a chance. Black Panther can go through the deck fairly quickly, especially if you're forced to take a turn in alter ego mode and use the Golden City. So this is pretty good to work with. Second, we've got Iron Fist, also from the Doctor Strange expansion. He comes in at 4 costs with 1 thwart, 2 attack, 1 consequential damage on each, but his ability is what makes him special. He comes into play with 2 mystic counters and then has a response. When Iron Fist attacks an enemy, remove a mystic counter and stun an enemy and deal a damage to it. Stun that enemy and deal 1 damage to it. So this is extra damage, but more importantly, it's a stun that you can place around the table as needed with an activation. So you want to use the stun to keep your minions and your villain in check. I mean, the more times you can have a villain skip an attack, the better. And so getting these extra stuns is going to be very important. And in a deck that's playing with a lot of extra resources, a 4-cost ally is not cost prohibitive. We're also going to play 2 basic allies. We've got Mockingbird. Again, Mockingbird is super stun utility, so we're using her for the stun. And then we've got Nick Fury, and Nick Fury is just pure value all around the table. Most of the time we're going to draw the 3 cards with Nick Fury, but sometimes we're going to take the threat, and occasionally we'll drop the damage, but this guy's a big deal, and then he can take a hit for us before he leaves play, so we want to get Nick Fury out on the table. Most of the time, if he's in your hand, you're going to play him because it's going to open up more options for you and allow you to make some serious progress towards victory in the game. All right. Taking a jump over to look at our support cards, we're going to play 1 each of Med Team, Avengers Mansion, and Helicarrier. None of these 3 are going to break the game, but we got to fill it out. And we're actually going to, I'll tell you now, we're playing a 45 card deck here because Black Panther can go through cards so quickly. But we want these 3 because the utility is so important. When these get onto the table, they bring down our deck count, putting us closer to that prime number of 40. Yes, it's not going to get us into the 30s, but these 3 stay on the table. Helicarrier means that we get to play free Wakanda Forevers. Med Team lets us serve as a backup heal for Black Panther, keeping us in hero mode. And then obviously Avengers Mansion is pure value, letting us continue to draw cards throughout the game. In the upgrade slot is where I think things start to get really excited. There are 2 cards here that are new to the game. Defensive Stance came from the Black Widow expansion. Electrostatic Armor comes from the Hulk expansion. And in those 2 slots, we are going to have some serious value. So the Defensive Stance, you play 1 per player. There's only 2 in the deck because we can only have 1 on the table for us at a time, and this deck is designed primarily to play solo, but we want this card. This is like super backup safety protection for us. So you get this on the table, and then it has a hero interrupt. When you would take any amount of damage, discard Defensive Stance and prevent 3 of that damage. So I'm pretty aggressive when using this. You get it on the table. Anytime you would take 3 damage or more, go ahead and pop this off, prevent the 3 damage, get it back into your deck, go cycling through. Shuri can pull this out. So this is a big deal. You can get this quickly and on the table. The other thing Shuri can pull out, though, is Electrostatic Armor. And Electrostatic Armor is like double retaliate. So you get this onto us. This is from the Hulk expansion, like I said. You play 1 under any player's control. I'm going to play it under my control. It should be noted Defensive Stance lacks the language that says play under any player's control, which is necessary to override the rule that upgrades come into play under its owner's control. So without that text, you've got to play Defensive Stance on yourself, which is fine. You want them on yourself. But back to Electrostatic Armor, it has a responsibility after you defend against an attack, deal 1 damage to an attacking character. So this is not retaliate. This is just dealing damage back, but it's the same effect as retaliate. So Black Panther retaliates, you Electrostatic Armor trigger, you've dealt 2 damage on 1 attack back to minion or the villain. 2 damage is not inconsequential. It's oftentimes more than 10% of a villain's health. With some of the bigger villains, it's still a big chunk of their health. Being able to pile this up as it goes through the game is kind of the strategy here. We want to take the hits, deal the damage back, where a lot of times we're going to use our basic thwart to keep us in the game. So this is how we're dealing damage, is retaliation and Electrostatic Armor. So this might be something you search out early with Shuri, depending on what your status is with Black Panther upgrades. Get this on the table and start dealing the damage back, and you are going to feel good about things. We're also going to play 1 copy of Endurance. This is allowed to be played on any player again, but we're trying to play solo, so this is going to play on us. It's going to give us an extra 3 hit points. points. The extra 3 hit points is just safety and cushion. We don't want to go to alter ego mode to heal, so this isn't a downtime. This is an endurance because we want to keep that damage on us, because hopefully we can keep triggering our suit and moving that damage to villains. We might cash up a little bit of damage, 6 or 7 points here and there, and then we might use a couple Wakanda Forevers and move to that 2 at a time onto minions and villains to keep the game progressing. Also in the upgrade slot, yes, that's right, you guys were thinking we were only doing 3 upgrades, but we are not. We've got more, and they are exciting. First off, Energy Barrier. I've said it before, I'll say it again, maybe the best card in the game. It's getting some tough competition from some of the stuff that's been released recently, but this card still holds its own. 2-cost upgrade, gets 3 reflection counters, and when you would take any amount of damage, remove 1 reflection counter and prevent 1 of that damage, and then deal 1 damage to an enemy. This piles on with the Retaliate and Electrostatic Armor plan, dealing damage from getting attacked. If we would take damage, we don't take it, and then we get to put it onto an enemy. This is fantastic. Strategizing and paying attention to how you're activating the minions so that those come to you and you can bounce that damage around is super efficient and something that you've got to pay attention to. Second card on the screen here is Unflappable. This is one of our new, I believe this is in the Hulk pack. This is one of our, no, this isn't in the Hulk pack. This is in the Doctor Strange pack. The Unflappable is going to come into play under any player's control. We're going to put it in play under our control, of course. We can only have 1 in play. That's why we're only playing 2 in the deck. But with 1 of these on the table, anytime we defend an attack and take no damage, we get to draw a card. I mean, once per round, but we don't want to have to defend 100 times a round, so it's not terrible. But an extra card every round is great. So this is like an extra Avengers Mansion anytime we defend and we don't take any damage, and that's our goal. We don't want to take any damage. So if we've got a couple of energy barriers out, maybe we use our basic defense, maybe we use an event or something else that helps us to not take damage, and then we can Unflappable. This is incidental card draw, which is good, and it's going to turn out to be great in this deck. Trust me, I've played it. It's a lot of fun, and it works really well. All right, jumping over to the events. Now we're talking about some real fun stuff. No, the fun stuff has already happened, but this stuff is fun too. Desperate Defense, this is a new one. This is 3. We're putting 3 of these in to the deck. This is also from Doctor Strange, so is Momentum Shift. And then Get Behind Me is a Miss Marvel, I believe. I mean, Miss Marvel's on the screen. Off the top of my head, hopefully I got that right. Otherwise, somebody will tell me in the comments, I'm sure. 1 cost event on Desperate Defense. This is a hero interrupt, so when on defense, if we're defending against an attack, so we have to be using our basic defense, which we can end up doing in this. Remember, we want to be defending, so we may be using our defense to do that, and especially if we've got an Unflappable on the table. But this will let us get +2 defense for the attack, and if we take no damage, then we get to ready our hero. This means we don't suffer the penalty of not being able to thwart next round. Maybe we're going to defend again. Any number of possibilities here, but Desperate Defense, huge value, definitely going to be played. And if it's in your hand, I don't see a lot of reason not to try to play it. Let's defend, let's just be safe, let's not take the damage, let's get the Retaliate, let's get the Electrostatic Armor. All of that's basically for free if you take no damage. And then you're going to ready your hero anyway, so this is good to go. In a deck that wants to deal damage by getting attacked, Get Behind Me is awesome. It can stop some of the really nasty when revealed effects at the cost of getting us attacked. Getting attacked by the villain means we deal damage to the villain. If we have stuff in our hand like Desperate Defense or are prepared to be able to transfer damage, things are going to work out well for us if we're playing this in this deck. It's awesome. Aggressively use it. Don't let it get wasted in your hand. And then finally, we've got a 2-cost event. This is also new from the Doctor Strange pack. This is Momentum Shift. This card rivals the Energy Barrier for best card in the aspect just across the board. Healing 2 damage to deal 2 damage for 2 cost. This is a huge swing. It lets you take full advantage of things like our Retaliate in this deck, and then it's going to deal damage at the same time. And it's deal 2 damage to an enemy, which is a big deal. Some of the event cards that come out that we get really excited about end up saying minion on them, which is the difference. Enemy lets you hit your villain or your minions, and that's a big advantage. So Momentum Shift, high value, heal yourself up, keep you in that safe range, but dole out the damage and keep things going is definitely what we want to be doing. Resources are pretty standard. We're playing 2 power of protection and the 3 double resources. This adds to the vibranium, giving us an option for a ton of double resources in this deck. Let's take a quick look at some strategy for this before we close this out and let you guys go build this deck and take it on into your favorite matchups. As far as strategy goes, we've talked about a lot of this. We want to use our Foresight setup ability to get a key upgrade. We want either the suit, the Vibranium suit, or the Tactical Genius. We're going to use the key tutor effects to find our events or upgrades. That's Brother Voodoo for events and Shuri for our upgrades as we need. Then we're going to use Black Panther to tank damage, and then we want to use the suit or momentum shift to heal and deal damage for that double value. And then electrostatic armor plus retaliate for the win is just a huge deal. That's 2 damage every time you get attacked. If you can get energy barriers out there, it can be even more damage that you're throwing around the table. Retaliate goes to the person that attacked you. Electrostatic armor goes to the person that attacked you, but energy barrier goes to anybody, any minion or villain. So this is a big deal. Clearing stuns with those incidental 1 damages, things like that. Not stuns, toughs. Clear toughs. It's great. One of the things that I really wanted to address before we close it out, though, is that I'm excited for this as a possibility in the campaign expansion. In the campaign that we've seen in other FFG games, we've got things like persistent health and carryover effects. And with this deck in particular is well poised to be successful in a campaign because it's going to provide its own innate healing that also turns into damage to the enemies that we're going to be facing. And so being able to constantly heal ourselves, we can take a lot of damage, we can stay healed, but we're not healing at the expense of other actions. When we heal, we're dealing damage and opening up opportunities for us to thwart and other things. So the deck is really useful in that aspect. I'm excited to kind of tweak it out and be ready to use it in the campaign. I would expect that this is going to be my first campaign deck that we're going to try to use, but let me know what you think about preparing for the campaign. Talk to me about what you think about this deck. What would you tweak? How would you change it? What do you think about playing 45 cards? I'm sure that's going to be criticized or praised. I'll take both. But leave a comment to the video. Let us hear what you've got to say. We're excited to have you as part of the community, and if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us in the bottom of the screen right now. But that's going to close it out for us today. Again, this is Noah with Nomad Gaming. We appreciate your time today, and if you have not already done so, like this video, give us a comment, tell somebody else to watch one of these, and until next time, let's go game.